Could you introduce yourself to my listeners?
Yeah, sure. I'm Rob. I sing and make songs in Machinae Supremacyn, Swedish metal band.
Thanks that you accepted my request to this interview.
Yeah.
Um, and and when the first things first, I'm really thanking you you and guys you pulled the gig at Trakon. You freaking nailed that gig.
You think so?
Even with the I know you were under the weather at the moment, but yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, we tried to push the tragedy aside for 90 minutes and do our job.
yeah, but you pulled it. You pulled it like it wouldn't even see that in that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good
What
to hear.
yeah, what kind of uh feelings are you at the moment now? How are you now?
Well, it's still touch and go for Stefan, so
Yeah.
we're still quite concerned and hopeful. I mean, there it's we don't know, if he's ever gonna be okay. So it's
Yeah, it's really hard
it's
because
it's still going on. So
yeah.
sadly, no conclusion so far.
Yeah, but you as talking to you that how are you now today?
Oh, all right. Well, I'm good considering. I mean, the day to day, just doing stuff, keeping busy.
Machinae Supremacy has been together for quite a while. How it all began?
Well, guess me and Carl, who formed the band together with Jonna, we sort of had ended a previous music project, and we were looking to do something new. And a mutual friend of ours and Jonna introduced us at a party, and we started talking because we didn't have any real guitar skills or even knew what we wanted to do. So when we met Jonna at that party, a little more than 15 years ago, I guess it's. The whole thing was kind of born. It took a few months to get going, but yeah, it's pretty much mutual acquaintance teaming us up with Jonna, and from there we built the band 15 years ago.
Okay, and it was formed in Luleå, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's who everyone was here when we started. I mean, now we have Jonna lives in Stockholm, and we have Tommy Luoma who lives in Lahti. But in the beginning, it was just people like we were a bunch of friends here in Luleå.
Yeah. So you live in Luleå at the moment.
Yeah, I still live here.
Oh, okay, so you are really really close at to this place where I make this.
Where are you?
I'm from Tornio,
All right, that's one and a
so
half hour
like
drive.
like an hour or something. We should we almost that we also should get the live like here in Hertzilä's own studio.
Yeah, sure.
But sometime.
Yeah, we are three members living in Luleå,
Uh,
so the majority of us still live here.
okay, so from the history to like this today's topic, what is the best thing of making music gigs and etc etc.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be a different answer from everyone, but for me, really making the music. I mean, when I sit alone working on songs, is kind of my sweet spot in all this. I do love playing shows and meeting people too, but I mean, if I had to choose one thing, I just enjoy the process. I enjoy sculpting the songs and finding the right sound and all that. Just the creative process for me is the thing that gets me going. That what makes me want to do this.
Many of your songs has some gaming related themes. Do you have any inspirations on any other popular cultures?
Yeah, I think we use games and those kinds of themes as sort of a metaphor in many times because even things that are inspired of other things, we kind of want to make them a bit more fun. So sometimes we use a video game metaphor to talk about something that might have a more serious undertone. But we do take inspiration from anime and, you know, anything really. I mean, the video game stuff is obviously the most easily detected of what we do, but there's a lot more, and you can hear that in both the music and the lyrics if you really look for it, so to speak. But obviously the game stuff is the most obvious.
Yeah, and about themes and concepts, do your latest albums have had a strong theme or a concept? Do you choose themes or concepts before you are start making the album, or does it just come while you are writing the songs?
Well, it's kind of both, because we always make music. Like, we don't necessarily have lyrics for all the music we make. So we have, like, we're always like half an album ahead of ourselves. We have a lot of songs that we never use, and some songs they stay around for, you know, 8 or 9 years. Or I mean, some songs have been around for a long time that we haven't used yet. And some songs, you know, maybe we finish something while we're making one album, we'd kind of choose that this is not really done or it's not as good as it could be. So we put that off and do it later. So we kind of always have a few ideas for songs, but then when we, you know, mostly we made music and lyrics as we kind of make them one by one and make it all fit, and we have an album. But this time, like, every time we make an album, we try to do something that we haven't done before, and usually that means some greater level of ambition, do something that is a little bit harder than it was before. So we figured it's time now. We've done a lot of story songs and we've done a lot of fight songs, and we kind of just felt that it's time to make a long, consistent story throughout the entire album. That would be fun to, because it's a challenge. Like, it's difficult to do that, and you know, it was just something we hadn't done before. And we had the story. It's an old story. We had it since like 2003 or something. So because we have these dreams of, you know, making video games and graphic novels and all kinds of stuff, but we never do that. So we figured, let's use the story for the album, because we do have, obviously we had to write the lyrics. The story was conceptual. We had the idea of the story and the names of the characters and a bunch of stuff like that, but we had to write lyrics, of course. But once we decided that was what we're going to do, we just sat down and, you know, figured out what kind of music worked for what kind of theme, what kind of part of the story. And then also, as you know from the album, we added those sort of intermission tracks with narration and kind of mood builders in between a few songs. So,
say?
Yeah, it's just, we knew before it's hard to say when we knew that we were doing a concept album, but I think pretty much not long after the album before, we kind of knew that we wanted to do something that's a little bit more challenging, and we do want to get the story stuff we have. I mean, we've used stuff in 1 or 2 songs every now and then, but we kind of want to, you know, I don't know, we have so much story stuff and stuff like that we want to get out, so it was time to do that. We had done a lot of fight songs, and we figured it's time to do some story stuff.
About stories, 3 of your songs songs titles has this Steve. Who the heck is Steve? Or is it just a name, or is it something bigger? And this is something what my friend who doesn't live here in Tornio wanted to know.
Yeah, well, Steve is kind of what we mostly done with the songs that have Steve in the title is that Steve sort of represents an amalgamation of characters or traits, you might say, that we admire. Some in some ways an ordinary hero, so to speak, but it's not yet a determined person. So we have ideas to introduce Steve in the story universe that we have, but so far it's not a real person, so to speak. It's a fictional character, but it is yet to find a place within the mythos that we have created.
So he's just your all-day hero.
Yeah, it's a sort of a name we put on a character that we admire, that we don't really have a face for yet.
And Steve is a really great name because it's just some really average name, and when it's just average hero,
Yeah.
that could be the answer.
Yeah.
Knowing that you have at least watched some animes and some songs have some inspirations out of them, well, World of Light and Shinigami, do you watch any anime on your free time nowadays?
Actually, very little. I have an anime that I'm supposed to watch that I haven't yet called Psychopath, but it was a long time since I watched something before. And I don't know, we don't really have, like for me personally, I don't really have a clear way of watching anime right now. Because, like, if you have American Netflix, you got anime, and I guess Crunchyroll, but they don't have the great animes. I don't really know how I would watch, the anime series that I'm most interested in. I don't know how to get those really right now. Because in Sweden it's also harder than I guess, in the United States it's probably easy. But I could probably watch more if I just had a good way of getting it.
About you just mentioned Psychopaths. I can really recommend that show. I have like started watching it like a couple of weeks ago when bit after Dragon. I just started watching it because I bought the DVD collection of the first season.
Yeah.
From Dragon.
Well, a friend of mine recommended it because she said it kind of reminds her of Phantom Shadow because, they use psychopaths and evil people to fight evil. It's kind of reminiscent of the Phantom Shadow and that story.
Yeah.
So I have it queued up. I just haven't started yet.
This is a bit. I don't know if this is a bit personal question, but what is your opinion on streaming services like Spotify? Will this be a chance to stop illegal downloading?
Well, I think it's the question sort of starts in the wrong place because the internet makes it easy to download stuff, and streaming in a way, I mean, you're downloading stuff. So basically, I think you could see if we just use Spotify as the example, but there are many services, of course. But Spotify did something that was kind of remarkable, and they made it easier to use Spotify than to actually use the Pirate Bay. Because it was pretty easy for someone who knew how to just go to Pirate Bay and download an album. But if you have Spotify, it's even faster to just search for it and play it. So kind of what Spotify, and surely some service before that, but Spotify really made it, huge. And they, instead of, trying to roll everything back like the music industry has been doing, they kind of found a way to create something that gave value to people who listen to music. Like, this is something that is even better than the Pirate Bay, so why would you download it now? And of course, a lot of people are going to complain, but I don't want to pay $10 or 10 euros for a month for Spotify. And well, you're a cheap fuck. Go to hell.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty good price for what you get.
Yeah,
if you think about it. And there's a lot of stuff. People talk a lot of stuff about, the artists aren't getting paid enough. And I said, well, welcome. It's a new world now. That you can't put the same value on things as you used to do. Like, this is basic economics. If there used to be very few bands and artists that were in the mainstream that people could listen to and buy, then of course they would make more money. But now you have more artists, you have more of everything. So by the law of like inflation, music as a listening product is just not worth the same anymore. So people, and a lot of bands and people who are, entrepreneurial in nature, they find ways to make money anyway. I mean, so I personally, what I'm trying to say is I love Spotify, and I love the kinds of services that makes it easy for people to listen to our music, pretty much. Now, I think like the payment models of these services could be adjusted because they don't work favorably to independent artists and stuff like that, which is kind of too bad because this could be a great equalizer if they adjusted how the model works. But that's just the way of the world, really. I mean, the big ones are going to collect the big money, and that stuff happens. But this still offers a really good way for everyone or anyone who makes music to get that music directly and instantly to the people who would like to listen to it. So I see it more like it has more value than it has downsides. And like from our perspective, we're not just music makers; we're also music listeners. And you kind of want to have to decide, like, am I going to try to be only one of those? Like, if I'm only going to be a producer, maybe I'm going to have a few. If I try to make a living of that, I'm only going to look at it in one way, like from one perspective, then maybe things don't look as good as I would like them to do. But I consider the ease of access and the value to people who listen to music and all that stuff, that's way more important. And so, I think to go back to the question, illegal downloading is never going to end like that. There's always going to be people who think that, oh, maybe I want to have these files on my PC. But I think, having files is going to be a smaller and smaller things. I mean, like Google has laptops that don't have a hard drive pretty much. I mean, or, a small one. You see how having files as a concept is just shrinking as it is. And of course, progress takes time, but I think streaming is definitely the way people are going to listen to music and how they're going to consume this stuff. So in that way, maybe illegal downloading stops, but not because people stop doing illegal things, or if you want to call it illegal, I don't really see it that way. But they, people are going to be less interested in having the files on their own system if they can get easy access to them. And if Spotify was so good that it had everything, like you don't have to search anywhere else for anything, like now you do still have to venture outside the sphere of Spotify to just find stuff. But if you didn't, then I think even that price of 10 euros a month would be pretty much nothing for most people if they have access to all kinds of music all the time. So yeah, maybe that's what's going to happen, that downloading per se is going away. Streaming is going to be the thing.
Yeah, I think it too. But because our so-called time on this interview is pretty much ending, do you have anything to say to the listeners of Nuorisokanava Hertzilä or slash Radio Revolution when this interview is airing?
Yeah, I just think that even now, even though the world is quite different, and even though it's easier to get access to your less known bands and stuff, the independent bands and the smaller bands still need their fans just as much as before. So remember, if you are a fan of a smaller band like Machinae Supremacyn that's not as known everywhere, maybe just remember that it has a lot of value for you to spread that music, send it to your friends and tell everyone about it, because I know for a fact that we appreciate that. I know every small artist appreciate that, because we don't have the the promotional help and stuff from labels and other sort of markets that can help. And all we care about is spreading our music. So just remember that when you share our music with someone else, you make a lot of difference. So we're grateful to you for doing that. So thank you.
And when this is just like a theme hour, when I'm airing this interview, and the theme is Machinae Supremacyn, ha ha ha. And so, could you request some song from your discography?
Something
from
ours.
you, something from Masu.
All right. Well, are there any conditions, or can I choose anything?
Anything.
All right.
Any
song.
I
would. I think you should play Shinigami. Definitely, that's one of my absolute favorites.
So it could be like it starts from World of Light and then like goes in transition to Shinigami.
Sure, absolutely. If you want to play that, those are supposed to fit together. If there's time on your air for that stuff.
Yeah, we have.
That's one of my personal favorites anyway. I love that song.
Yeah, and when I one time I played this, Death Note's first opening theme, The World.
Yeah, I know. It's the World of Light song is very Death Note feel,
Yeah, I know. It's very Death Note.
I love that. We kind of managed to make it feel the same, and it's I like that very much.
Yeah. One
If
time.
you play another song, play Happiness is Rising, because that's also just an amazing song, I think.
Yeah. I was telling a bit small story here. When I played this the world song in this radio show like 4 years ago, I I had this kind of a thing that I had to play before the world. I had to play Phantom. That was this kind of a like almost a minute uh, how lasting minute lasting song that was just well going in something like piano or like something like piano kind of thing, and then it got like a straight transition to the world, and it was like well damn, it was like a really good song as well as a whole. And
Alright.
you have I assume that you have heard the world before.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly now, but just to remember that, I do enjoy the music and Death Note, and I do know that World of Light is reminiscent of one of the themes from that series. But I don't remember the name of it, so if that's the world, then okay.
And well, I could say that thanks for the interview, and